So here we are. It's Tanya here from Integrated Human, trauma-informed somatic coach. Here to talk to you about triggers. Yeah, me lovey triggers. I love them. The reason why I love them is because they are not what most people think they are. Most people think that they're things to be avoided. Oh, you're triggering me. Stop it, stop it. It's horrible. Yeah. But really, what triggers are indicators, signals from your body, signals from a part of you, voices from your parts. Yeah. And if you avoid them, if you avoid triggers or run away from them when they happen, this kind of behavior only prevents learning, healing, recovery. Yeah. If you're watching the recording, pause it for a second and go into the Emotional Health Handbook and pull up the sheet about hidden trauma. If you are not in the Facebook group and you're watching this somewhere else, you need to get in the Facebook group, because once you're in the Facebook group, you have access to the Emotional Health Handbook and all of the great stuff that's in there. Triggers are one of the things that indicate or that are symptoms of unresolved trauma. Because once the trauma has been healed, yeah, the trigger is not going to be, like a slap in the face or a kick in the stomach. Yeah. So I'm going to run through a few of the other symptoms of unresolved trauma. The symptoms that you might not even see as symptoms, just in case any of these, quite intentionally, to see if any of these actually trigger you. Yeah. But don't worry, you're safe. Yeah. We're going to fully resolve any trigger that happens. So don't panic. Yeah. Just grab a pen and be ready, because I don't want you to miss a trigger. Sometimes things can happen in your life, like I said, which don't appear to be symptoms of unresolved trauma, but quite frankly, they are. Yeah. Things like missing or lost time, or things like, you get stuck into a job and all of a sudden it's dark outside. Yeah. That distraction, that isolation of your mind from the present moment and from reality, is the indicator that there's some unresolved trauma, that your mind throws itself headfirst into work so that you are distracted and protected from trauma triggers. Come here, buddy. Sorry, mate. I made a big noise, didn't I? Also things like flashbacks, nightmares, unreasonable attempts to rescue other people, anxiety, fear. Yeah. Especially if it appears without any obvious reason. I was literally talking to a client, what did we on Thursday? Yesterday. She described a circumstance in which she often feels fear and anxiety, and that is simply when there is her and two other women in either a conversation or a work environment or a social situation. As soon as there are three women, things start to get strange in her head. Yeah. So that doesn't appear to have any obvious reason, but we can work it out. And once we've worked it out and unpacked it, yeah, which I'm in the process of doing with that client, that situation will never happen again. Trust me. Never again. Divisive black and white thinking. Yeah. If you are the sort of person to think in terms of doom and gloom or heaven and sunshine. Yeah. Repeated panic attacks or anxiety attacks. Again, I have another client who is often having panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and it's actually difficult because her panic attack type behaviors or type responses are blocking her from identifying the cause. Like I said, we'll get there. We'll get there. Being hypervigilant is another one. Yeah. This is, one of my personal views, right? Empaths are not born, they're made. And they're made by trauma. When someone is constantly on alert, or when a child is constantly on alert for either emotionally absent parents who are suddenly back in the room, or rows, arguments, violence, abuse, all that kind of stuff. When a child is made hypervigilant, they grow up to be empaths. They can pick out the dangerous people in the room, yeah, because they've been shown how. They've been taught how. Their body is enabling them, by staying constantly on edge, to search out and spot the threats in the room. Going to the other end, we've also got things like inappropriate levels of self-blame, survivor guilt. Another client example here. A woman who was a retired nurse was unable to revive her husband when he had a heart attack. The conversations I've had with this client have gone deep because my husband passed of a heart attack too. But the difference is, I think, and you'll understand why I'm saying I think, is that her two grown-up sons blame her for their father's death because she was unable to revive him. My two stepkids have chosen not to remain in touch with me. I've reached out on numerous occasions and they've chosen not to. Now, I choose to believe that that's because they are happy, safe, independent people who don't need me, because they know where I am. Yeah? They can reach out to me on Facebook anytime they like. My phone number, my mobile phone number, hasn't changed in like 20 years and is unlikely to. Also, difficulties with relationships, especially the more unpleasant side of attachment disorders, can also be an indication of hidden trauma. The feelings of worthlessness and ongoing depression. These are, see, the thing with unresolved trauma is that it's often misdiagnosed as depression. Yeah. In fact, if unresolved trauma hangs around in the body and in the mind for long enough, it will cause depression. But once the trauma is resolved, depression can then begin to fade. Yeah. Another thing, if you are the sort of person to, at all costs, avoid conflict. Yeah. Remember what I said about, being hypervigilant. This is a similar kind of thing. If you're avoiding conflict, it's because you are avoiding a replay of a traumatic event or events in your younger life. This one may surprise you. Eating disorders, disordered eating, or even self-harm. Yeah. These have got nothing to do with the food and nothing to do with hating oneself. Yeah. They've got to do with unresolved trauma causing the victim to feel out of control. And in each of these examples, in that eating disorders, disordered eating, or self-harm, in each of those, the person suffering is acting in such a way that it's like an attempt for them to regain control or to meet an unmet emotional need. Yeah. And often these kind of things combine. So someone who is hypervigilant, having trouble in relationships, may also constantly feel like a victim. Yeah. All of these things kind of pile up because your body and your psyche is trying to say to you, hang on, there's some unmet needs here. Yeah, there's some unresolved trauma here. Your body and your subconscious creates triggers so that the hidden trauma gets brought into the daylight, because trauma is treatable and it doesn't need to hold you back. It doesn't. There is a real prospect of recovery, and that past trauma, and well, not really the past trauma, but the triggers and the clues they give to the past trauma can actually help you step into a new kind of future. Yeah? So as I said at the beginning of this, right, I want to do some actual real fixes. Yeah? Some want to talk through basically the methods that I've got on that PDF called Hidden Trauma and Tips to Reduce the Symptoms, I think it's called. Where is it? Yes, it's Hidden Trauma and Tips to Reduce the Symptoms. It's the PDF found in the Emotional Health Handbook that is available to everybody in my Facebook group. So let's scroll down to some real things here. The first one is 4 letters in a word. The word is bold. B-O-L-D. Yeah. Sometimes I teach that there are 5 steps to recovery. Yeah. But these 4 are where you start. Yeah. The 5th one, after this 4, is the healing and the recovery. But in the face of triggers, and that's why the word bold is really nice. It's, you know, it's written on this sheet as I'm literally reading now. Yeah. Be bold in the face of your triggers. Number 1, breathe. Just breathe. Don't do anything. Don't try and make it mean anything. Yeah. Just breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Once, twice, 3 times. Yeah. Observe your feelings. Yeah, that's the O. So it's breathe and observe your feelings. And I'm not just talking here about like emotional feelings. See if you can feel what your body is feeling. Feel the sensations that your body creates. Your body can't communicate with you in words, so it uses sensations. The third thing is the L. Lean in and really feel. Yeah. To heal, we need to feel. Or you need to feel in order to heal. Or to be better healers, we need to be better feelers. Yeah. Those 2 words run hand in hand all the way through the teaching that I do, the coaching that I do. So we've got B for breathe. Yeah. O for observe. L for lean in and really feel. And then the D stands for decide. Decide in an objective, calm, not detached, but separate. Yeah. Decide how you want to respond to that trigger. Yeah. I mean, you've got loads of options at this point. Yeah. You can either say, well, right now I can't handle dealing with this, so I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to put it on the shelf, and I'm going to come back to it. If you say to yourself, I'm going to come back to it, make sure you do, because your body will learn whether or not to trust you. So if your awareness makes the decision that it can't handle that trigger in that moment, and you pick that trigger up and you put it on the shelf, and you kind of say to your body and say to your subconscious, I'm going to come back to that. Yeah, make sure you do. If you simply say to yourself, right, can't handle this right now, I'm just going to park it because I just don't know what to do with it, and I just can't. Yeah. That's probably what you're doing right now. And this is what I want you to avoid doing, because you're wasting a trigger. You're literally wasting a big siren and a klaxon and a big arrow pointing at the moment saying, here's a learning moment. Here's a trigger. It's telling you about your unresolved trauma, the trauma that you've hidden so well. If you want to respond directly and say someone says something to you and it's a trigger, yeah, say someone uses a word that has been used to you in the past, say your trauma comes from a parent constantly calling you stupid, yeah, say there is that great meaning and feeling and trauma attached to that word stupid. And say for a moment that you're in the middle of an argument with your other half, and he or she stands there and says, oh, stupid. Yeah. In that moment, you can choose, you can decide, okay, I'm not going to pick this up and put it to one side. I'm going to face this right now. And I'm going to say, excuse me, but can you not call me stupid? I am not stupid. My opinion is just different to yours. And if you say that, if you do that, right, take a little moment to inwardly smile and remember Tanya sitting here going, well done, because you're seeing your trigger. You've taken a moment, you've observed your feelings, you've lent in, you've decided that you're going to meet that trigger, and you're going to say, no, stop calling me stupid, because I'm not stupid. Yeah. That simple standing up for yourself shows your body and your subconscious mind that you don't need to be afraid of being called stupid anymore. So you have that choice at that point to decide how you want to respond. Now, I often use the word choice, but in this particular incident, in this particular case, I'm using the word decide, because if you're doing these 4 steps, by the time you get to the 4th step, it's not about choice. It's about literally deciding how you want to respond. It's not choosing, because when you choose, you're choosing from a number of options. Yeah. When you decide, you're actually saying, right, I'm going to do this. So that's the first tool I'm going to talk about today. The next tool I'm going to talk to you about is breath work. Breath work is something that I do within my coaching practice. I also do one-to-one coaching, and I also do one-to-one breath work. Yeah, and I also do small groups in person and online. So if you think that breath work is what you want to do, reach out, put breath work in your message, and then I should be immediately tuned into breath work being what you want. Because my practice runs between breathwork, coaching, and my program. And the reason why I created my program is because I noticed that so many of the people that I was dealing with when it came to eating disorders were people pleasers. People pleasing being a trauma response. But because of the frequency that it came up, I thought, I know what I'll do. I will create a separate standalone program for people pleasers to go through, with masses of support, by the way. It's not just a self-study thing. You get weekly calls, you get one-to-one contact with me. There's a WhatsApp chat room and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, didn't want to talk about that this evening, but anyway, that's there. So breath work can allow your body on its own, yeah, separate to all of your racing thoughts, to resolve and release trauma that is trapped and hidden within the actual tissues of your body, yeah, without you having to relive it. You can literally talk to me about the kind of feelings that you want to release. You can choose whether or not you want to share details of trauma, or you can come to me and say, look, I've got all of these things that you listed out. Yeah, remember that list I gave you a little while ago? If you're going, yeah, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, but I haven't got a clue why. Yeah. If your triggers are not obvious, it's because your body is holding on to those responses so tightly that it may just be that breath work would be a better way to allow your body to resolve and release that trapped, hidden, unresolved trauma without you having to relive it. Yeah, so that's not an alternative, though it could be if you wanted it to be. Yeah, like I said, normally I do coaching with breath work, and there's breath work in the program as well. One of the parts of that program is the third tool that I'm going to talk to you about today. Now, that is called, in most spaces, either inner child work or parts work. There's a number of ways that you can do it. My two favorite ones are just straight up parts work, where it's quite a sort of talking therapy thing. There's another method which I've come across about a year or so ago now, called story work. Yeah? There are parts of story work that can help a lot with exploring the parts of you that hold the trauma on your behalf. Yeah. Let me just give you an example. Have you ever had, actually, no, you think of your own example, right? Have you ever had one of those moments where something happens and you react, usually verbally, yeah, but you react in such a quick and instant way that the moment your mouth closes, you think, where the beep did that come from? Can you think of one? Can you think of two? Yeah. If you're watching this on the replay, pause it and see how many times in the last, say, week or so that you've had a what the beep just happened moment. Yeah. What the beep became such a frequent phrase in the experiences of my early clients when I was just doing coaching, that it actually became a sort of catchphrase, you know. And I started doing little videos and things on YouTube. You can probably scroll back and find one. There's one called What the Beep is Trauma-Informed Somatic Coaching, or it might be What the Beep is Trauma-Informed Coaching. I might not have put the word somatic or even emotional health coaching in there at all. There's another one called What the Beep is Trauma-Informed Breathwork. Yeah. If you do any breath work with me, I will send you that recording because, well, it's important. But I didn't really continue with the What the Beep is series for very long, because it was just, it made me laugh too much. And I kind of wanted my work to be taken seriously. Yeah. I've worked hard, all of this. Yeah. And it goes across the ceiling at the top there now. Oh, no, it doesn't. There's just above the pair. Yeah. There's another one, and there's supposed to be one there, but I haven't put it up yet. And I'm currently working on another one. So I've spent over £26,000 educating myself so that when you're working on exploring how the parts of you and the parts of your inner child hold on to this trauma on your behalf. Yeah, I can support you in exploring how to meet the needs of those parts using a concept called reparenting. And it is literally as it sounds. Yeah. 2-sentence overview. When a traumatic event or series of events happens to a child, they are not equipped to process it. So a part of them kind of fractures off and holds that trauma while the remaining child continues to grow and learn. Yeah. And then in adulthood, where our subconscious wants to fix all of these parts. So that's where triggers come up to point at the parts, to point at the triggers, to point at the unresolved trauma, so that we can then explore what the unmet needs of those parts are, so that we can provide that child with either the value, the protection, the attention, the connection that they were seeking at the time. Yeah. Well, that's really short. I might have to wind that back and write it down, because that was pretty good. But, you know, like I said before, what I'm trying to say here is your triggers are showing you, they're showing you where the trauma is in that part of your life. Yeah. So that you can do something about it, because trauma is treatable. It doesn't need to hold you back. Yeah. And getting help to release trauma from a trauma-informed practitioner is absolutely the way to go. Yeah. If you're interested in knowing more, you can contact me. I'm just trying to think the best way. It really just depends on where you're watching this video. If you're watching this video in my Facebook group, then click on my name and send me a message. If you're watching this video in the months to come on YouTube, hopefully there's a link for you to send me a message. If not, I'm pretty sure if you put a comment below, then it should send me an email. Fingers crossed. But yeah, find a way and talk to me. There's all kinds of ways. I mean, that's the other thing, you see, in the description, when I do eventually put this on YouTube in the coming weeks, there will be ways to contact me. There'll be links to Facebook Messenger, rather, on link, a straightforward link for you to click that will launch Messenger to get you in touch with me straight away. Now, I don't have an army of minions checking my email, simply because some of the emails that come to me are very confidential and are very individual. So if you do want to email me rather than Facebook Messenger, which is again only ever looked at by me, you can email me on info at integratedhuman.co.uk. Yeah, that integrated human bit is all one string. So once again, that is info at integratedhuman.co.uk. I hope you've enjoyed this. Yeah, reach out if you need me. I haven't decided what I'm doing next week. Normally by this time in the week, I've decided what subject I'm covering next week. So the only way to find out, if you're watching this in the Facebook group, is to turn notifications on or send me a friend request or a follow request on Facebook. Then you'll get notifications when I start to post on Monday on the new subject. If you've got a subject in mind, or if you've got a story that you want to tell, get in touch with me. There's a number of ways we can work together for free. For instance, if you've just got a straightforward kind of agony aunt style question, then I can ask your question on my radio show, which goes out live on Wednesday afternoons and then becomes a podcast on Spotify. Everything's completely anonymized on there. So there's no, going backwards and forwards and getting, down deep and dirty with it. So that's one level. Or you can ask me a straightforward question. You can get into the Facebook group. We can talk about whether or not you're a good fit for the program, which is a much more cost-effective way of working with me than doing one-to-one sessions. Because when we're doing one-to-one sessions, you're literally occupying my time for the whole of that session, and some time before to prep for it, and some time afterwards to make sure that I take sufficient notes and take action in terms of following up after that. So one-to-one is the most expensive way of working with me. I'm looking into creating a women's circle and a men's circle at some point. So if you're, where are we now? This is November. 30th of November 2023. So depending on when you're watching this, but if you're watching this like June 24, by then I may have set up the women's circle and the men's circle for people to get together in groups with me and talk about absolutely anything. Yeah. Obviously I've got my specialisms, which are eating disorders, trauma responses, the largest one of which is the people pleasing, and breath work. So depending on the specialism, depending on what you need, will depend on how best I can support you. So anyway, usually rabbiting on, I can't even see how long I've rabbited on for. Oh wow, it's 5:30. I better get off because I've got other things to do. I'll see you soon. So bye for now.